Right, I'm going to do the retake of the myostatin video. Simple reason being that, sorry, I now have a microphone. Hey, so you should be able to hear me loud and clear. So, what is it? Well, it's what's known as a GDF8, which is a growth differentiation factor 8. Basically, it's a protein. It's produced by myocytes and it regulates muscle growth. It does this in two ways. It regulates protein synthesis and it also reduces muscle cell growth. So that's it, effectively, what it does. Now, if you have low myostatin, then you'll naturally be leaner, stronger, and carry more muscle mass. Many people will be familiar with the Belgian blue bull. Now, this is a breed of bull or cow that over centuries of breeding has had its myostatin levels bred out of it. It effectively had low myostatin, and selective breeding had meant that subsequent generations have had lower and lower and lower myostatin levels, and now the thing looks like it's taking more gear than anyone on the planet. This thing has muscles on top of muscles on top of muscles. Now bear in mind, a bull doesn't exercise, so muscle growth due to myostatin suppression doesn't require stimulant. It will happen anyway. Now, many people will be familiar with Little Hercules. Now, I wrongly in the original video quoted him as someone having a myostatin deficiency. It turns out he didn't. It turns out his dad was feeding him Winstrol. However, people do have this condition. Now, it's not always a case of it's as extreme as the point of view that they're muscle freaks, but it will equate to the reason why some people carry more muscle mass than others. And it could well be that a lot of the top pros in bodybuilding already have some level of myostatin deficiency. Now, if we could turn this stuff off, wouldn't it be the holy grail drug for bodybuilders? Well, yes and no. Now, a lot of people quote mice studies and dog studies at the massive amount of muscle mass that these animals gained by switching their myostatin production off. However, the suppression from myostatin in animals is a lot greater than that in human beings and can be as much as 70%, whereas muscle suppression in human beings is nearer the 10 to 15%. So as a result, effectively, we're not going to get cartoon character muscle mass. However, saying that, if you take into account that the average person has somewhere between 35 and 50% of their body weight is muscle mass, and developed bodybuilder will be looking at between 50 and 60%. So, someone like a 240 pound bodybuilder is going to effectively carry about 132 pounds of muscle mass. 10% of that would put them up to 145. On stage weight, that's going to make a hell of a difference. You look at Ronnie Coleman, now on 300 pound on stage, 10-15%, they're looking at another 20 to 30 pound of muscle. So at that level, it makes a massive difference. So, can it be done? Yes. Pharmacology has developed a way of doing this. It is still not cleared for human use, but it is expected to clear sometime this year or early next. However, it has been a long time coming, and there is a good reason for that. It's a very complex process. Now, how is it made? Well, basically, mice are used to produce antibodies against myostatin. These antibodies are then harvested, including the mice's spleen. And these B cells, well, they're all searched through, and there's millions of these things, until they get the ones that they actually want. Now, this may sound a bit strange, but myostatin is within the body in various different forms and controls various different functions. It has an impact on our immune systems. It has an impact on internal organ growth. Now, if you switch off the myostatin that controls internal organ growth, your heart, your lungs, your liver, your kidneys are all going to start growing to a point which they're basically going to run out of space within your cavity, and it's going to kill you. So, and early studies of developing myostatin suppression for muscle mass did cause all sorts of problems with immune systems and all sorts of weird and wonderful side effects. So they have to search through to get the antibodies that they want. Once they've allocated and they've recognized those, then they clone them. As you can imagine, this is a complex and expensive procedure. But this also means that myostatin suppressants are biodrugs. They're live, living drugs. So ACE and follistatin, those two lovely peptides, are not myostatin suppressors. It just isn't physically possible. They're freeze-dried powders. So how the fuck are they going to switch myostatin off when it's a biodrug? They're not live drugs. So if you're playing around with them, you're wasting your money. You ain't going to get jack shit off them. And in that, because of the process in which this is made, it means that the drug produced by a pharmaceutical company is unique to that company, because it is made from the donor animal, and therefore everything is unique to that animal. So it can't be copied. Now, if someone's got the facilities and enough money and time and research, they can develop their own version, but they can't copy somebody else's version. It's not a case of just copying a chemical formula. This drug, when it hits the market, is expected to be one of the highest grossing pharmaceutical products of all time. That's how big the market is for this place, with muscle wastage disease and other disorders that cause loss of muscle mass, etc. That is massive revenue. Now, I have no doubt that when it becomes available, if you've got enough money, you'll be able to get hold of it. But it ain't going to be cheap. And like anything that's pricey, and we've seen it with growth hormone, it's going to get copied massively. So unless you know where it's coming from, I'll very much doubt that what hits the black market in the large percentage is actually going to be the real thing. Now, there is rumours that stuff like Marcus Roll and Big Ramy have used myostatin suppression. I don't know if it's true or not. It is entirely possible, because, like I said, the research is out there, and if you've got enough money, a medical company, you'll be able to get hold of the drug. It won't be the end drug that's passed all human testing, but there are versions out there that have been developed that have a few sides that would be tolerable to a bodybuilder but not tolerable to the general public. So, you know, enough money in the right contacts, yeah, it is available. For most of us, it's probably going to be a drug we're never going to see. It's just going to be too expensive. It would be impressive if we could get hold of it, but like I said, I just don't think it's ever going to happen. So that's it, you know. It is available, it does exist, and a true pharmaceutical product is going to be hitting the shelves very, very shortly. It's going to be very heavily regulated, it's going to be very heavily controlled, and chances are what hits the black market in a large percentage will be fake. The peptide versions are a waste of money, they don't work, they don't do what they say they do. It is impossible because of how the drug is made. In the same way that copying it is impossible, so no UGL is going to bring it out. No Chinese copy lab is going to bring it out. It ain't going to be available in Thailand unless it comes from the genuine pharmaceutical company. You're not going to have the real thing. And that's it. So I hope you find that useful, guys. Hopefully that clears up the previous one that was a bit shit quality. And I'm going to do a couple more this week on some orals. And I'll continue in that vein. Okay, I'll speak to you soon.